All right. I'm going to start the live stream. Okay, sorry. Okay. So we are now live on YouTube and Facebook. My name is Geri Capizzuto from GodIsLoveTruthLife.com or GodIsLoveTruthFreedom.com because a life without freedom is not a life worth living. I'm also the lead organizer for SoundPath.org as well as the Liberation Academy.education. But today we're going to be talking with Brandon Martin. Hooray!
Hello. It's such an honor to finally get to meet you and to be here with you. And I'm excited to discuss the topics that you've brought to the table for us. And hopefully some people will, gain some great knowledge from our dialogues back and forth. And yeah.
Yeah. So you come with tremendous experience organizing. You run Sea Truth Academy. You're involved with Cubbyhole and other sort of organizational, uh, yeah, just movements. Tell me about, yeah, your experience with running, large collective actions, because um, I'm finding I'm just learning as I go, and it hasn't been easy. So yeah, just would love to hear more from you.
Yeah, of course. I was lucky enough to actually grow up at Skatopia, so a lot of people who know my background will know a little bit about that. And because of that environment, I got into event organization pretty early on. I had a lot of very skilled people around me with publishing tools, with organization knowledge and skill sets. And so I learned mainly from just being involved with people who already
Okay.
had that knowledge or, reading and a little bit of trial and error as well. So over time, I just kind of took those skills and then moved forward, especially when I became activated into the great work and started the Seed Truth Academy and the Seed Conference specifically. And from there, it was a complete new territory when I started the conference, which was inspired by the Free Your Mind conference, which Mark helped put on. And it was a bit different organization skills than actually like hosting a party or an event, which usually that's what I would be dabbling in, booking bands and getting pro skaters on board and stuff like this. But the skills do overlap. They do overlap quite a bit. The main things that I learned is that you just have to really, have some good people around you, some people who actually have some knowledge or who are motivated to do this. And then just start with your basics. You are you going to do it online? Are you doing it in person? How many people are going to come there? What kind of audience are you looking at? What's the demographic? Are you going to be charging for this? Is it going to be voluntary? What kind of topics? Do you have speakers? Do you have the equipment? You got to get to the equipment part eventually. Do you know how to run the equipment? Do you got to, hire somebody to come run the equipment for you? Are you going to learn it? So there's a huge plethora of things that goes along with it that I think a lot of people kind of overlook. But once you get into that field, then it becomes much easier. And a lot of people are willing to step in and actually aid and assist you in this, a little bit of mutual aid, a little bit of cooperation. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to help each other grow. We're trying to help other content creators and publishers and event organizers to get activated and to start bringing, critical topics to the table and spread this information as wide and as far as possible.
Thank you so much, Brandon. And I would like to take the time to introduce one of our other SoundPath organizers, Nathan. Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, hey Jerry. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, there's a little bit of feedback. I don't know if it's coming from like maybe an external
Uh,
mic somewhere.
Let me see. I
That's
think
better.
it's Oh wait, that's better?
Yeah, whatever you did, it's gone, the
Okay.
echo. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. Well yeah, hey Brandon. Nice to meet you officially. Yeah, I'm with the organizing team with SoundPath here. I connected with Jerry from the How to Become the True Media, like the Gilded area. She made this group for originally it was for making music. like collaborating on like a band project, and then it kind of turned into this idea for the festival, for the online event. And so I offered to help with that, and here we are. Yeah, and
Awesome.
yeah, it is awesome. I'm excited about it. It's cool.
Yeah.
I like that my first project also is a collaboration with people, because I haven't launched my own channels yet, but I like that it's a collaboration. I think that's cool. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, so that's interesting that's the way you guys started out, was starting in the music industry or in the creative aspect. And I think that's very important because I was raised in the underground music, scene, specifically punk and metal. And, I just have a deep love for music in general. And I deal with, hundreds of bands a year sometimes. So it's just amazing. So that's so cool. It organically grew out of a little music project. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'd actually forgotten that.
I think I lost you. Can you hear her?
I cannot hear you, Jerry.
Yeah, can hear you. This is always the dilemma, the tech dilemmas of doing things like this. I call them the internet gremlins, or the tech gremlins. They always want to get in there and mess it up for you a
Yeah.
little bit.
Is
I
this
can hear you
better?
now.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I was just saying that I had forgotten about that aspect of that. Yeah, we just started the chat originally just to just talk amongst each other as musicians and stuff. But I think what really sort of gave me the idea to do the festival was watching the Funnel 4 conference, specifically the Freedom Under Natural Law. I think the theme was Care in Action. And there were these great presentations on music from Conrad Rogos, who's part of our lineup, Leslie Powers, Derek Bartolicelli, who's also part of the lineup. So thinking about their presentations on music, the music that was playing in between presentations, and I was like, how come there hasn't been like an online truth and freedom festival yet, like for music? Like that makes sense to me. And so I just sort of just started seeing people like come together behind that. I had someone be like, yo, how do you have so many people working for you? I'm like, nobody's working for me, we all care about music.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah. Did you have questions for Brandon, Nathan? Or
Oh, are we interviewing Brandon, or is Brandon interviewing
we're
us? Or just
I think
I think we're just
kind of
having a free discussion.
having a talk. Cool.
Yeah. I usually don't do interviews unless it's on the Seed Truth Academy conference specifically. So I think there was a little
Cool.
miscommunication there on who was interviewing who, but it's just a general discussion, getting to know each other,
Cool.
saying hi to everybody. So yeah, I think it's amazing what you guys are doing. I'm very excited. I'm going to try to personally attend the event. Me, my girlfriend, and my son are going to try to come up. Hopefully we'll be able to make that happen. It is our birthday weekend as well, so it'll be kind of a little vacation for us, and we're looking forward to that. But if not, I have been putting the word out for the Philadelphia area because I have a lot of skateboarding friends there and been talking to a lot of people about it. I did get your guys' stuff up on my website. And then St. John sent me a video through text message, and I think it's like a promo video for you guys. And I'm going to throw that up there too and start sharing that around. And for anybody who's listening, I would definitely go and check this out because it looks really awesome. Music is so important to all of us. And she mentioned some great people who have brought some amazing knowledge about music in the truth and freedom community. Conrad was amazing. I thought his presentation was so dead on. And I keep recommending his work to so many people. And obviously, all the other people that you mentioned are top quality speakers in the community. And I think we do need something like this. And it is interesting that you say that because I've dabbled with that idea a little bit, trying to blend the music with the information. So when I started to do that, I think it was SEED 2, I had a musician come live and play, and he did a few different songs, and that was pretty amazing, acoustic. But he's part of Douglas Martin's old band called Resin, and it's on the videos, on the website and stuff like that. And then eventually it started to take more movement. And then the Funnel Conference, they really, hit it off with high quality music coming from, all kinds of great people, just amazing, talented artists. So it's really inspiring to hear that that's what kind of, pushed you guys into creating something like this. You never know where it's going to take you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for me, also Funnel was a big inspiration. Like Diesel Automatics, Freedom Under Natural Law. That's just such a hard-hitting song for me. It like really gets me emotional, makes me feel like, this is something I'm really a part of, and like we can really move forward and make progress. And music is a big rallying point for people, and it can kind of communicate to the heart and like kind of more to the subconscious. And I think it can, it's really a powerful unifier, just music and the arts in general. It can kind of bypass the kind of the defensiveness and like the kind of the R complex like reactions that people can kind of, like get triggered into when you're just like explaining things to people logically. So I think music and the arts is just massive with all of this. Like we were all inspired growing up by like Lord of the Rings, like all those great allegories. So yeah, I think music and arts is huge. And yeah, I'm not used to doing interviews. This is actually just my third video that I've been in. So I'm still getting used to being on camera, but
You're
Oh,
doing
that's
great.
easy.
oh
Yeah,
well,
you're doing
thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
Well,
That's yeah, cool.
it's so true. Music has been co-opted by the dark occultist, and we know that directly. And we need more music to be putting out a message of truth and freedom and love. And we don't see that enough. And we see that the children are digesting this media, taking it into ourselves and integrating it into our soul. And then we go out and we behave off these things. And it is a form of programming too, when you're sitting there listening to the same songs over and over and over, and that's the information that's going into the subconscious mind. And then you go out and you're just on this, socially engineered auto program that you're just behaving in these ways, and you don't really comprehend like how this is coming about or why this is coming about, but you're sitting there listening and absorbing information that is very, very negative and very not high quality in any way. So garbage in, garbage out. You put garbage into your mind, you're going to get garbage out into the behaviors and into the world. So we do need high quality music. And it is interesting. That's why they, thought that art itself was so dangerous in Greece, actually. So they wanted to prevent and censor any kind of art, the plays, because it can become such a powerful movement against authoritarian regimes and against the state and the governments. So it was really important for them to get a hold of this and to co-opt this. And we see this, vibrations have a great effect on us. We understand cymatics, we understand synchronistically that these things affect us spiritually. And then we go and we're just completely in a trance. That's why they call it entertainment, because it's inner, right? Enter, the inner realm, and entain, which means to bind, to take over, so it means to capture you. And we're in blind entertainment rather than educative entertainment, which is what you're talking about, such as you could say the allegories in film. And that's something that I dive into so deeply, is the deepest aspects of the esoteric knowledge within the arts. And it's something I love to do, in fact. So yeah, I think it's beautiful. And I'm a musician myself too. I play piano, I play keyboard, I play guitar. I got guitars all over the place. Can't see them in my camera, but I got them on my walls. So
Cool. I didn't know that about you.
Yep. I started on drums really young, and then during my younger years of skateboarding, broke my wrist. So drumming wasn't quite possible the way that I wanted to do it. And then I moved into guitar, which then kind of overlapped with piano.
And then
That's awesome. Yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
Oh, I was just gonna say you play some instruments too, right?
Yeah, I play guitar. It's actually right behind me. Yeah, I play guitar, piano. I'm not super great with guitar. I haven't kind of kept up with that because my main like kind of music outlet has been the software like Logic, like putting together beats and like electronic music. But I make a wide variety though of different kinds. And like I want to kind of bring in the guitar more and like bring in like a cello and like I use the harp all the time too, like harp, cello, kind of acoustic instruments too. So but yeah, music has been amazing over the years, kind of like a what do you call it, like a sanctuary almost from the insanity of the world, whether that be creating music myself and like connecting to something so much better than the craziness, and or just listening to beautiful music too. It can take you to such amazing heights and it's so inspiring. So yeah, it's been huge for me over the years as well. And I know Jerry is a musician also. I know that you sing, right? You play keyboard?
Yeah, I've just always had music in my life pretty much, and I'm thinking about how doesn't I'm just reflecting on everything that's being said, and I'm thinking about how even though I was unfortunately asleep and brainwashed for the majority of my life, I do think, music planted little seeds that may not have had an immediate effect, but had an incremental effect, I think. Um, I do play keyboard not well. That's Sarah Cross. Hello, Sarah. I mostly am a vocalist. A little bit of violin and guitar action. Picked up drums more recently. So, but yeah, just it doesn't matter. Like um, I've just always liked how um, also the sort of like physicality of dance and music together. Like I feel like even drums is like you're physicalizing you're physicalizing the sound, whether it's this or this or this. It's like um, there's something somatic. There's a somatic aspect that, like you said, Brandon. I think well, and you did too, Nathan. Just it can have an immediate effect on the sort of like inner standing of things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you play the harp. That's really cool. I've
Violin,
always wanted.
yeah,
Oh, you play violin.
yeah.
Okay. I think he mentioned the harp.
Oh yeah,
Those
that
are
I
cool.
meant.
Yeah, I always wanted to play the violin. I tried many times, but never could get the hang of it. Very difficult for me. I owned a few different violins. But yeah, music is extremely powerful. We all know this. And, like I said, I grew up in the very hardcore punk scene. I mean, I grew up, I even got to see G.G. Allen, which I'm not sure if you guys know who that is, but he was a famous punk singer, very nasty punk singer. In fact, I never liked his music, but, just growing up in that hardcore scene, which Mark talks a lot about actually, um, it was just so effective at bringing the message of anarchism and freedom and planting it in my subconscious mind. And then as I grew, as you were saying, incrementally, it started to take root and started to create fruit eventually. And that's why I always look for bands or musicians who are really speaking a message that's powerful. And it can be allegorical or cryptical or even, metaphorical in many different forms, because there's a lot of metal bands that dabble in the occult, both positive and negative sides of the occult. And you find the occult teachings in more metal and hardcore music than you find it pretty much anywhere else. But it's
Mm,
interesting if you take a look at classical music, Beethoven technically was an occultist.
right.
Bach was an occultist. There was many different aspects of their music that they were creating and manifesting that was channeling from the pure essence of spirit and pure essence of consciousness. And there's many books that are written on this, about how they were embedding this deep esoteric knowledge within, their orchestras and their music writing. And it's just so beautiful if you ever do want to go down that path and study any of that. I can't remember the book off the top of my head, but there was a great book that I read about it, and it just blew my mind of how much hidden knowledge was actually there. And that's without spoken word. So then you apply the spoken word on top of that, and then you can really start to not only directly get in people's faces, which I think we need to do more than not, but also you can be very clear and precise with the message. So it's no longer being occulted for you. It's just out in the open. This is what you need to hear, and that's it. Like, here you go. And usually people will resonate with it. I've been in many bands and we just put it out there, and man, people are like, man, that's some heavy hitting stuff. Like that hit us in our soul. And it was pretty amazing. So yeah.
I guess the question is whether it's music or whether it's a podcast or a presentation, like what sort of journeys have you been on as a sort of like promoter of collective actions? Because that's sort of an area that we're frankly struggling in.
Yeah, it's very difficult to organize and get people united in one task. I think that's one of the most difficult goals of the great work, alongside of waking people up. Because once people do know and do have the understanding, are they actually going to act on it? That's a whole different realm, whether they're going to have the courage to actually step into being activated or not. So getting the community to help you, I think sometimes it's about timing. I've learned it's just about the right time for some people, because there's so many different things going on in people's lives that you have no idea what they're experiencing, what kind of suffering they're going through, what kind of financial issues, anything like this. But if you hit them at the right time, I've seen a lot more positive responses from people. So timing is a great thing. So for example, like, it was great timing for you to get in contact with me right now, because I'm actually pretty open. I'm a stay-at-home dad right now. And it's like, okay, I need another project to do, and this seems right up my alley, and I would love to support it. And you have people that I know and personally trust that are supporting you. So that also adds, credibility and authenticity to it. And so then I'm like, okay, I can put my trust in this. I can, put my name on this, and fully support this, and go down that path. So, it's timing. It's also, the way that you're presenting yourself, obviously. If you're presenting yourself as a crony capitalistic scumbag, obviously,
Right.
we're not going to be involved, right?
Right.
So, but as far as getting through to people to organize, I think it's one of the hardest things inside the community, because we are so scattered. And this is why I want to move my event back to physical events rather than online events. Online events are great, but I want to move it back to physical events, because I feel that there's a deeper, intimate, and spiritual bond that takes place. Even though that you lose some of the wide scale spreading of this, right? But you can do it online simultaneously, so there's no reason why you can't do that. But I feel that the relationships that you build there over time help to, elevate the quality of your work, help to elevate the community effort and the mutual aid that you'll receive in that. And I mean, Mark's a great example of that. He knows very well how difficult it can be, and also like how to get things moving. You do need someone to get out in the front and be like, I'm doing this. And then, that's the best thing that can happen, and people will follow. If you build it, they will come. That phrase is true. So just build it, and then people will start coming. And this is one thing I learned. Don't be ego attached to instant gratification or to the outcome. Sometimes it doesn't always work out, but you're putting it out into the universe. You're doing the right thing. You're aligning yourself with moral law and natural law. And, maybe you're not getting the numbers that you'd like to see. That's fine. Don't be egotistical about the numbers. Just do it and keep doing it, and it will gain momentum. And there will be at least one person that you'll influence positively, and that one person will have a life-changing experience. And, as long as you're getting through the one person, you're doing the great work. I mean, we need more numbers for a paradigm shift, but You know, I always just pat myself on the back if I can awaken one person in this world, because it's so deeply entrenched in mind control. So, you know, just don't get demotivated because, you know, YouTube isn't using the algorithms properly because of your content, the way that it's being presented, or whatever the algorithmic, you know, crap is. So, I mean, you'll see movement though.
Mm. Yeah, Nathan, do you want to say anything? I'm just sort of like I'm just so appreciative of everything you've been sharing, Brandon. Thank you.
Yeah, that was all very eloquent, very well said, super solid advice. Really appreciate you breaking that down. And I definitely agree so much about the not getting hung up on the outcomes, but having your shit right, building things up correctly. You have the right orientation. You know that what you're doing is good and right morally, and you're being effective with what you're doing. And then the people will be drawn to that, and the right people will find it, and then yeah, you can reach people. But yeah, I agree with what you said, and yeah, thanks for sharing all of that.
Of course. Absolutely. That's why I'm here, man. You
Yeah,
know, I've been doing this for a long time.
yeah.
This fight, you know, I was raised on these principles, and I've been doing it for probably at least 20 years, probably 15 years of online publishing, 10 to 15 years in that realm. But physically, you know, I've been out talking about these things for at least 20 years of
Wow.
my life. And you know, and I've seen great progress. I always say this on every podcast I go on. When I first started this work, it was a desert. It was an absolute desert, and I was dehydrated. I was like so freaking thirsty for somebody else, for like you guys, you know, like. And then I'd see somebody just a little bit, usually like in the new age communities or UFO communities or something like this, and I'd be like, oh, wow, there's somebody there. And then next thing you know, they're another statist, and they're like, you know, voting for some kind of authoritarian scumbag again. And I'm like, oh, you're a mirage. Okay. But now it seems like there's a little bit of a sanctuary that's taking place. And the sanctuary, in all traditions and all totemic sociological traditions and tribes and organic natural law, you know, structures of civilization, the sanctuary is where evolution takes place. That is what the brain needs to evolve. So we have to create more sanctuaries, decentralized sanctuaries all over the world, for people to feel safe, but also to stimulate conscious evolution, you know, so that we can do the work, whether it's the scholarly work or the boots on the ground, right in people's faces work, you know. I do a bit of both of that, which I think is necessary. Sarah was asking for the book I was talking about. I found it. It was on Mozart's opera, actually, and it's called The Magic Flute Unveiled, Esoteric Symbolism in Mozart's Masonic Opera. And this is an amazing, amazing book. There's quite a few. I know that Manly P. Hall, who is a great enlightened individual, probably one of the most enlightened people that has ever existed, talked about it a lot in some of his work.
Sarah says,
Very
Oh, yeah.
welcome, Sarah.
There we
Sorry.
No, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I watched The Magic Flute recently, like an adaptation of it, specifically because I knew about the esoteric and occult, you know, kind of symbolism and teachings that were embedded into it. And yeah, so that's really cool that I didn't know Beethoven was also an occultist, but I'm not surprised. And his music definitely, he like brought actual like emotion and spirit and like deeper meaning into his music, where before it was pretty dry and like kind of mechanical, like a lot of the classical or you know the Baroque stuff, it could be kind of dry. So yeah, but yeah, I like Beethoven quite a bit. Did you want to add anything, Jerry? I'm just kind of rambling, sorry.
oh, no worries.
You're doing good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that going back to this idea of the sort of esoteric aspects of music, and how, you know, if you look at like music theory, how like certain numbers, like, you know, the classic sort of like 1 3 5 chord, you know, major chord sequence, you know, what that can look like from like a sort of almost like gematria lens in a way, where you think about these like the way certain tones come together and they always work and why, and you can look at it mathematically, you can look at it musically, you can look at it all these different directions, but they do work. And also this idea that like there's a lot of like hermetic ideas in music, like this idea of polarity. You can have like a melody kind of go up, go down, but eventually it goes back to the ending of a phrase is always like back to where you started, and so like you can have these like sort of fluctuations or rhythms literally, but like there's a sort of like attenuation towards where you started from, you know what I mean?
Yes, very well said too. And yeah, I mean, music encompasses the 7 Hermetic principles very, very well. I mean, anybody who has not studied the 7 Hermetic principles, I would highly recommend the Kybalion to get you started. And I mean, you can go deeper into it and go into things like the Golden Dawn and some of the other esoteric traditions. But I mean, that's where my main work is focused at, because I understand that esotericism and the occult sciences is actually what preserves natural law, and it preserves these ancient epistemic and philosophical ideas that we need to embrace and integrate into our own lives. And that includes, like Sarah brought up, the quadrivium. That includes the trivium and the quadrivium, and those are the 7 liberal arts. And there's a reason why they took that out of the school systems, because it teaches you how to think, not what to think. And it gives you the grammar specifically for being able to have a model or a method to finding the truth, the objective truth about things, rather than, this lackadaisical idea of just subjectivity and relativity on everything, where you can actually see and discover the universal and cosmic principles all around you. And you can see that it's a science and it's repeatable over and over and over. That it's not a belief system. It's not about faith. It's not a religion. It's not any of these things that are binding and tying and holding us back from forward progression. But it is an actual method for discovering natural law and actually manifesting what we say we want, which is freedom. We all want freedom, right? I mean, I know you guys do. I talk to my neighbors. They want freedom too. They just don't have the methods. They've never been taught the methods. And unfortunately, they've been socially engineered to buy into the biggest scam and the most dangerous superstition of all, which is the dogmatic belief in coercive authority.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, you guys brought me on. I bring the hammer down if you bring me on,
I love it. Yeah. Well, I was thinking about this sort of like ongoing conversation that I'm having with St. John, which is that he has a lot of experience in the addiction recovery space. And I kind of feel like there's a lot of parallels with the One Great Work, in that you're kind of working with people similar to a state of active addiction, and you're trying to suggest that they do their work they need to do to recover, which actually also affects you. So while it's not your business, it also is your fucking business, because we're living in this slave system because of this collective immoral action. And so it's like, like, how do you activate others when it's really up to them,
That's so true. And it's very difficult. It is definitely very difficult. That's why I've always said, I'm trying to get to people who are willing to get better. And that's usually something that you find in the programs that are trying to help people with addiction, is that until they're willing to get better, then, your methods are not going to be suitable for them, because they're just going to go right back into the chronic hedonism immediately. And you see this over and over and over. I like the parallel that you brought to the table there, and you're absolutely right. And it does take the dark night of the soul. It does take you to look inwardly first. That is the first step, is to go inward and start to do the shadow work, start to heal not only the trauma-based mind control that we've had, but also all the other traumatic things that have been stored in the subconscious. But also don't allow that, like, because people have this end goal in mind where they're like, oh, I have to be completely healed before I start doing the work. Don't allow that to prevent you from being creative and getting out and talking to people about the things that you do know. You know, I always tell people, yes, I'm very humble, but I'm not so humble that I'm not going to speak the truth to people. You know, like I'm going to speak the truth. Sometimes it comes off hard. Generally speaking, if I'm in someone's presence, I'm a very kind individual. But, you know, when I'm really passionate about something, the righteous indignation comes out. And sometimes you need that. That's how I woke up too, was because people came to me that I didn't even know. And they were like, what are you doing? You know, like, you got all this knowledge. What are you doing? Like, are you publishing anything with it? Are you doing anything with it? And they were the ones who spoke the hard truth to my soul and said, do something, change your behavior. Or even when I was doing things wrong, like, hey, that's not right. I'm not going to associate with you while you're doing that. And until you change, you know, we're not hanging out anymore. Like, you need to get yourself in order. And sometimes it does take that. It takes that masculine energy sometimes for people. And a lot of people are scared of the masculine energy. We've been culturally indoctrinated and programmed to be scared of people who might be slightly aggressive about things because, oh man, they care. Man, oh my God, they care. Aggression is not always a bad thing. Yes, it can be bad, but it's a dualistic. It's actually neutral until you use it. You know, it's not positive, it's not negative until you use it, and what you do with it determines whether it's positive or negative. So I'm not advocating for people to be chronically aggressive, obviously, but, you know, sometimes you need some assertiveness. You need a little, you know, masculine. You need to balance that masculine with that feminine, the alchemical wedding, the alchemical union, and create the divine offspring, the divine spark into the world.
Go ahead, Geri. Oh, I'll go. Yeah, that was really well said, Brandon, once again. And I find that reading people and sitting with people and reading them in a very compassionate way and in a very patient way, you can like gauge kind of what they're ready for. And yeah, some people do respond more so to the gentleness and the compassion and just like the sincere care that they open up more so to that. And then some people definitely do need the more firm, like, you're fucking up, this isn't okay.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it
So yeah,
is
it
true.
can, yeah, and it can be and there's not like a manual for every situation, you know, this is life and things can get messy, but yeah, really important points. And yeah, just learning to communicate with people effectively and in a mature way and like just in a respect. I find respectfulness goes a long way with people, even when you're bringing the masculine, the more firm, like kind of setting boundaries and, you know, bringing something to their attention. I find just being respectful with people and just pure, like just very pure, really goes a long way. And helps the message, like helps them to be receptive to it. So I try not to go too overboard with the aggression, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, I always tell people telling the truth is the highest form of respect that you can give somebody. Because if you're not willing to tell the truth to them, do you really respect them? Do you respect yourself? No. You know, do you have to sugarcoat it all the time for everybody? No. Sometimes they need that, though. And that is true. It's like you're dealing with a child, and sometimes the medicine needs to be a little sweet for them. That is the truth. And I like individualizing every approach. There is no, like what you said there, Nathan, that was very well stated. And yeah, I think what you said is very important for people to hear. And you have to individualize every single approach because there's no method, there's no handbooks for that's going to work across the board because everybody has an individual, unique experience, upbringing, parental background. Generally, there's a lot of ubiquitous stuff, a lot of sameness, you know, when you start to dig into it. But you never really know what somebody's going through, and it's important to approach them with the kind of things that you would want to be approached with, the kind of manner that you would want to be approached with, but not so far as that you're censoring everything, because that just enables them too much, right? So it is like striking this fine line, this balance. You're walking on a tightrope, you could say, when you're trying to really get through to people. That's why I love this community so much, because there's a diverse amount of methods that are being performed, right? You guys are bringing another diverse, point to the table, which is, hey, you're bringing it through music and you're organizing a freedom music, oriented conference in a way. And it's like, oh, okay, this is amazing, so that means that people are really, really right brained, and in the music industry a lot, they're going to be really receptive to this. Oh, and even people in the left brain will be receptive if they open up to it a little bit, right? But yes, I mean, people are going to be very receptive. Music's going to hit everybody in the heart and soul. And it also brings people out that just want to see music. So the young kids, they're like, oh, new music, like a music festival, music event. This sounds great, So you're bringing new people into the group, which is awesome. And I think that's amazing. But yeah, the diversity in the community is amazing, because you have people like me and Mark a little bit, and then you got people like you guys and Sarah and just all kinds of, other people who are using different methods to get through to people. And I think that's the holisticness that people kind of miss out on. You're pointing out that some of the community doesn't organize enough, and that's definitely true. That's definitely true. But there's also this beautiful spontaneous order that's taking place, the spontaneous growth and this organicness from the decentralized groups that are just building and building and building. And I believe, and I hope, I can't say that I know this for sure. It can happen if we do it correctly. But I do believe that over time, it's going to start to strengthen the network together. And we're going to have a better cohesiveness with each other. And at least we all know, like, if shit hits the fan, like, maybe we'll meet each other on the road. Who knows? There's a few like-minded people out there in the world that we, can be like, yeah, I probably trust these guys, like zombie apocalypse, bring a little humor in here. But yeah, I think it's great what you guys are doing. It's absolutely amazing. And thank you for your efforts, because we do need, more people to be out in the open and to just take the risk, and be like, hey, I'm doing it.
Wow, so much of what you shared just really resonates. I feel honored to be doing the One Great Work with OGs like you, Brandon, and newer people like me and Nathan. Like, it's just I am noticing you're as you were saying it, I was like, oh my God, he's right. Like, I am noticing a spontaneous order taking place, a strengthening, an actual formation of an actual community. I feel like there's, me coming in, I was like noticing like everyone's kind of doing their own individual thing here and there, or like there's little like cliques or like little like things, but then but I'm like, but where's the, and like, not to say that like we need to be centralized, that's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying like you said, that there's a sort of like almost like divine order happening like generationally amongst truth speakers, or like the old OGs are like sharing and advising the young initiates almost. This feels like that. Like, I feel like I'm learning so much from you that if this were like a lodge, like you're like, you're helping us in our initiation journeys, and I just really appreciate that.
Thank you. Of course. I call my house the lodge. If you can't tell, it's all wood. The whole house is wood, so we call it the lodge. It's a Twin Peaks reference as well. The black and the white lodge. I don't know if you guys are familiar with David Lynch and Twin Peaks, but very amazing. There's a great, film director who is artistic, who uses the subtleness of film and cinematography and script writing and all kinds of creative means, but the abstract nature of his work brings out the spiritual nature, and it's very intense when you can actually pull back the curtain, pun intended with the Twin Peaks reference there, but yeah, pull back the curtain to understand what's being said in such an amazing work of art. So David Lynch is a great director, was a great director. Unfortunately he passed, but yeah, so I think it's great, and we do need more people. I love what Sarah does as well. Sarah does amazing work with people, personal work, right? Individual work, one-on-one. But, as Mark would say, like, sometimes it's not enough. We really do have to get this work out wider and far, like really far. We got to publish stuff, and this is why things like this are helping. It's hard to see it though. We don't really see the effects of our actions until probably way later down the line. It took almost 7 years, 5 to 7 years, before I really started to see any kind of movement taking place around things. It was like when I started the S.E.E.D conference, the first one was all personalized. Not many other people showed up besides the community in Skatopia. And then the second one, a little bit more people. And then the third one, it was like, now we're getting somewhere. And then the fourth one, it was like a home run. It was like,
Wow.
wow, like now this is a professional event. But that was also coming with the learning process. You were talking about like doing work like this. Presentation work is something that I do a lot of. And I think a lot of people hesitate to actually try to put work out there. They have a lot of anxieties, a lot of fears. They feel like they're going to be socially shamed because they don't know as much as other people or anything like this. They also feel some sort of shame and guilt if they happen to, use other people's wording and things like this. And I think that's a horrible place to be. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's like, imagine like you're a musician. So imagine having guilt and shame for playing a Led Zeppelin cover song, right? And that's how you learn. That is literally how you learn these things, right? And then you take that and you create your own thing from the patterns of notes that you learn from the Led Zeppelin riff, right? I mean, it's okay. It's just fine. Do it. Get out there. And by doing it, by getting activated, that's when you're going to learn the most. So with my presentation work, whenever I'm, I have a general idea of what's going on, a general foundation of what I'm going to do, general topic. But as I'm doing it, it naturally evolves and becomes, something that I didn't even imagine that it would be. And that is that kind of spontaneous evolution, that spontaneous order that comes from it. And the building blocks are there. So, it's like painting a beautiful, tapestry. You just lay down the foundation on the canvas, and the next thing you know, you're creating a beautiful piece of art. And that's I look at my work as art as well. I'm very creative, so I like putting an artistic aesthetic to it. And I think aesthetics are very important because it's a fundamental part of nature. And nature is beauty, right? So it's this idea, this metaphysical idea of what beauty is. And beauty is so important to the work. So we do have to make it beautiful, because that's what freedom is. Freedom is beautiful. How could it be anything else? It is beauty itself. So I think it's important to be very creative, get in touch with the creative spirit, the child spirit, and get in tune with that inner child and have fun with it.
Nathan, did you want to respond?
There were so many different points there. I'm not sure exactly what I'll respond to, but that was really beautiful though. Like everything that you said. I'm sorry, Brandon, I actually have chronic headaches and I have a pretty bad headache right now, so I'm kind of losing my train of thought, but
Oh, you're fine, man.
oh yeah,
You're
thank
fine.
you. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember everything that you said. Yeah, Jerry, if you want to jump in, go for it.
Nathan, I'm just honored to have you on when you're able to, and just try, I really like collaborating with you as well, and I with both of you, and I just feel honored to be amongst just amazing humans in this community. And I do think we're becoming a community, and I think what we're doing with SoundPath is going to be a huge part of that. What Brandon, you've been up to with your S.E.E.D, your cubbyhole, which we haven't talked about yet. I for some reason I thought that was Nate Cap's stuff, but I guess you're on there as well.
Yeah. So the Cubbyhole was originally a podcast that Nate and I co-hosted for most of the episodes. I eventually had to take a back seat due to my condition of Lyme disease. and I, have come on here and there, but I haven't been able to quite organize anything to come back on there. But I definitely am, a firm supporter of what Nate is continuing to do with the cubbyhole. It is probably the best, I'd say, model and place and platform to get some of the most esoteric information, especially when it comes to human origins and to the origins of the secret societies and the mystery schools and just all kinds of stuff, just amazing stuff, especially when it comes to Comedianism and the Osiris myth, the three cults, the solar, the stellar, the lunar. And he just does amazing work on there right now. So I definitely highly recommend anybody to go there. And I dabble in a lot of that as well with a lot of my work. I started the S.E.E.D conference prior to the cubbyhole, and but then I started the S.E.E.D Truth Academy after that. Once I started to recover a little bit from my Lyme. So I understand the headaches too, by the way. I get chronic pains every once in a while. Most of my symptoms are not relevant at this point. They don't really severely inhibit my ability, but I still do have symptoms from chronic Lyme disease, which is, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Lyme disease, it has been found in prehistoric ticks, supposedly, but it definitely was bioengineered and amplified by the Canadian and the US government, and then released in Vietnam, and then also released in the Americas. And now, I talk to people all over the place, but the eastern coast here in America is just, it's insane how many Lyme cases are out there right now. They have skyrocketed, and it is a debilitating, illness. It is an autoimmune disorder, and it can be very life-threatening to some people. Some people just die out of nowhere from it. Some people are paralyzed from it. And so it's a bioweapon created by the state, and people don't know that, and they don't get that, and the doctors won't take you seriously. I've been to so many doctors, it's been insane, and none of them take you seriously. They'll be like, oh yeah, just a round of antibiotics will take care of that. No, not if it's chronic Lyme. Nope, not at all. It's called the Great Mimicure, and it mutates. It goes from a virus to a bacterial infection, and it's very, very intelligent and very persistent and resistant to methods. So if you talk to any kind of Lyme expert, they'll tell you, and the studies will tell you. And a lot of people, I think it's like 40% of Lyme patients get negative test results even though they have Lyme disease. So that's 40% of the normal testing, of people who have Lyme, that we're told, no, you don't have Lyme. So it's really ridiculous. Yeah, it's very, very ridiculous. But be careful out there in the woods. Wear some repellents. I'll tell you that. Especially if you're in my area, because it's wooded, and man, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy.
So what kind of treatments did you do to recover from that?
I went through a lot of different treatments. A lot of homeopathic and natural medicine treatments were the best. Mainly changing my diet, understanding my triggers, my inflammation triggers was extremely important. And then eventually I came across molecular hydrogen therapy, and I did that I still do it pretty frequently, but I did that for, I don't know, almost 2 years of just consistent high dosage of it, and all my symptoms, died away after that. And staying active, staying positive, having a good mindset and things like that. But yeah, mostly diet, the mental aspect, and then that molecular hydrogen therapy was a life changer and a lifesaver, which Logan Hart and Will Keller, they have their molecular hydrogen platform now, and I would highly support them. I got my machine prior to them starting their platform, but there's over 2,000 studies on molecular hydrogen therapy and the effectiveness, and even major states are using it. Major medical facilities are using it all over the world. If you go to Japan, they use it clinically. If you go to Switzerland, they use it clinically. Northern Europe uses it a lot. So it's not, some woo-woo stuff, some pseudoscience or anything like this. This is very valid and peer-reviewed studies have been brought to the table and a very valid method for helping individuals to get better with many disorders. But it's not a cure-all. There's no such thing as a cure-all. It takes hard work if you have a very debilitating, sickness. And like I said, it's usually just inflammation is what most of these are. So if you can understand what is causing the inflammation and then mitigate that, then usually you can do pretty well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all that. And I've been studying natural healing for about 8 years, so I know what you're talking about in general, absolutely. And I know about the Lyme and other things being weaponized and then released. I've known about that for a long time. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. And I want to try that what did you call it again? How did you
It's
word it?
molecular hydrogen therapy.
Yeah,
It's
makes me want to.
yeah, it's very powerful. It's extremely, like, it's amazing what it will do for you. That is for sure. If you do, like, I do like an hour or two inhalation. You can drink it as well. The best results are with drinking and inhalation. But I'll do about an hour of inhalation to 2 hours of inhalation, and I feel so energized afterwards. It is so clean, and you can't overdose on it either, so there's no toxic effects from it. It's a completely natural and organic molecule, so it doesn't affect your body negatively in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, Ostara, that's their company. That's Will's company. So yeah, I'd look into it. I definitely
Yeah.
look into it. If you have those headaches, it might help. So
Yeah, I definitely want to try it, or I'll think about it. Sounds
yeah,
like it's worth trying for sure. Yeah,
yeah, health is very important.
yeah,
That's why I like some of Corey's work. I like Colin, what's his name? Colin Smith. He does a lot of work in health. And, I just think that health is something that gets shoved to the sidelines sometimes when it comes to this work. And we do need to focus on our physical vessels. We need to keep them sacred and keep them healthy so that we can do this work. And I know a lot of people struggle not only with the mental aspect, but the physical aspect as well. So take care of yourself.
Yeah.
This thing is sacred. It's not just a meat suit for you. Every atom, every cell is a part of your consciousness. It's a part of collective consciousness. I can't stand the separatist idea of like, oh yeah, my body is just a spacesuit for me, as it's some kind of mechanical thing. And it's kind of disgusting to think of your own body that way when it is literally manifested from your source energy, from the causal cause of spirit, in every aspect. Even after your conscious awareness leaves this body, every single cell is still operating with that same source energy, and it's doing what it's meant to do. In fact, a lot of the cells try to bring you back to life, is what they've shown. They're like operating like, oh yeah, we got to save this body, we got to save this being. And but every cell is part of you, and I don't I think that separatist idea is very damaging and can be very toxic. Do you hear my husky? She's
Yeah.
I
cute.
do.
Yeah, let's see.
Oh,
Yeah.
so cute.
What are you doing?
Well, I don't want to keep you too much from your loved ones since I know you have a baby in the house as well now.
I do. Rowan Arthurius Martin is his name. And that's synchronistic as well, and a little bit of occultism because his initials are RAM. So anybody who knows my work, I study esoteric Freemasonry. So the RAM is the Royal Archmason, but it's also the ram, which is symbolic of the mountain goat, or the ram climbs the mountain, the holy mountain of consciousness, where they get up there and they're like on these little, edges, and people are like, how the heck did they get up there? Or they're in the trees. They climb these trees. Have you guys ever seen that? It's amazing. But yeah, the correlation of that is that you're taking a ground animal and it's raising itself higher into a higher dimension. So it represents higher planes of consciousness. Very similar to the aspect of like a eagle or a falcon swooping down and picking up a serpent off the ground and then raising the serpent, the kundalini energy, up into higher planes of existence, so raising through the chakra system. And then you see this in the Native American tradition, where they're wearing the headdress with the eagle or with whatever feathers that they may choose for their rites of passage into manhood and into warriorship, and into chiefhood as well. But yes, very powerful symbolism there. And he's a beautiful little boy. He's very happy. He loves being social. He'll just smile up a storm when he sees people. And yeah, and then Sarah actually gave me a really cool little kitty that she, I believe she sewed herself, and he loves it. It's like his favorite little stuffed animal. So if you're still here, Sarah, thank you so much. He absolutely loves that. He definitely appreciates it. It's like his best friend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sarah Cross, you can check her out on Crosstalk on Revolution Radio. She's a dear friend of mine as well, and is involved with the Liberation Academy, working on the trivium and quadrivium sort of curriculum that we have. Yes, they are indeed, Sarah. I kind of want to turn our conversation back to this idea of maybe why we're doing this, right? Like we've been talking a lot about how music has affected our lives. We've been talking about these sort of like esoteric concepts involved with music, and just with like spiritual enlightenment in general, and different faith and sort of cultural traditions. And I'm thinking a lot about physical healing as well. And are we a wave or are we a particle? We're both. Like the frequencies that we listen to or are exposed to, the things we drink, or the organisms that we interact with, they all affect us, our vessel, and our understanding and our actions. And a big motivation for me in why I'm doing what I'm doing is it's not just for my kids, it's for all the future generations. And I don't think you need to be a parent to know that, and maybe just like we could all share our whys.
Yeah, I feel you, Jerry. And yeah, for me, I don't think there's a more powerful drive that you can align with than to want to protect children, and just wanting what's best for children and for future people and children. I think that's like one of the most powerful like cares you can really be driven by. And that's definitely what it is for me, is yeah, wanting what's best for people now, but then for people, going forward. And children don't deserve the world that we have as it is right now. Children and young people just do not deserve what we are handing over to them. It is a sick, truly sickened, satanic world. It just is. It evidently is. There's so much. I mean, everyone knows that in this community, but yeah, they don't deserve that. And so I want to help to make this into what it was meant to be. This is meant to be like a, more of a heavenly type of world. It can become that way if people align with, moral goodness, and, activate the agape, the true care, really embody that. And that can be inspired in people. And we're not meant to have the satanic world. It's the inversion. It's the temporary nightmare that never needed to be. And then we can end that anytime. If enough people become activated, and have the knowledge, and then care enough, and then, do what is needed with that, and say no, say no to, just saying no. If people would just have that piece, just like saying no to certain mandates or to certain dictates, that's powerful enough right there. Like, I won't join this military force, or no, I won't put a mask on, or whatever it may be. Just inspiring people to have that kind of courage to just refuse to comply is really powerful. But yeah, I guess that's all I'll say for now. Brandon, if you want to jump in, man, go for it.
Yeah, that was really well said. I'm very impressed. I like the saying no part, especially. It is a lost word. And, there's an old phrase that Mark always uses, which is a T-shirt that I eventually printed up for him, which is, "Those who don't know will never say no to evil."
Mhm.
And that is the truth. That's the syncretism and the hidden esotericism in that phonetic phrase of no, N-O, but also K-N-O-W. There's no coincidence there that it's phonetically pronounced the same way. So we have to know to be able to say no. As far as why I started doing this, as a lot of people know, my background was very different with my upbringing. So I was raised on similar anarchistic principles, but I also had a very, very, great access to a great little library that my dad had, which included people's works like Manly P. Hall. And some of my required reading was 1984, Animal Farm, The Hobbit, things like this, Brave New World. So I grew up on these things. And it wasn't until I came across Mark's work that all these little bits of information kind of solidified. And I was like, oh, now I have a bridging and kind of this networking of all these ideas. And then that's when I really got activated after that, like physically publishing things, that is. And I think that the reason why is always going to come back to posterity and progeny, no matter what. I always say that if there's going to be suffering, let it come down upon me so that the next generation do not have to deal with that. And I think that's very honorable and courageous, and it shows a form of integrity to say that we need to deal with this. I was doing this work before I had a kid. This is my first kid, and I'm going to continue to do it until the day I die. And even after that, maybe I'll come back and be resurrected here in a different form, and I'll still do this work as long as this is the condition that we're in. And I do believe that some of us have this spiritual resolve and even have chosen to come to this plane to do some of this work at this crucial time period that we're in. And that's a little metaphysical and a little heady and abstract, but I do believe that at some level. So my work has always been in service to truth first, and then in service to humanity. So, I always say, hey, live in alignment with natural law and truth. And then from that, you are doing the best service you can to humanity itself. And it's for the kids, it's for the kindred, it's for the brothers and sisters of this entire world. It's for yourselves too. Don't take yourself out of this. You deserve to not live in slavery. That's it. You deserve not to be encroached upon and usurped, and your rights to be destroyed and trampled upon by authoritarians. You guys deserve that too. So it's not just for other people. It's not selfish for you to want to protect your own sovereignty. And by doing so, you show an example of protecting the principles that enshrine and help other people's sovereignty to be protected. And there is no such thing as safety without the freedom to keep yourself safe. I've always said that you can't have safety if you don't have the freedom to really keep yourself safe. I mean, there's no escaping this, because there's this whole dialectic of, gaining a little temporary safety in exchange for your freedoms, right? And that's what the state is. They give you this fake idea of protectionism from all the problems that most of them they're pretty much creating, and then everybody reacts, and then everybody buys into the solution that they're giving you on a little silver platter. Like, here you go, here's the solution, more draconian regulations for you. That's all we need. Let's increase the drug war. Let's increase the war in the Middle East. Bring it home. We're gonna start it over here now. We're gonna start dropping bombs. It won't be too long, if it keeps going down this path. I don't want to see that, but if things don't change, bombs will be dropped here eventually. Maybe not in our generation, but it will happen, unfortunately. And that's just because of the nature of the beast of authoritarianism. That's just how it goes. We feel isolated over here, but we're not completely isolated, and we're not completely protected. And a lot of people take for granted the freedoms that they do have here, and the freedoms that you should be embodying to the fullest extent. And I think the final thing I would say on that is be the living definition of freedom. I always like telling people that, you want to see it, be the change you want to see in the world. Become the living definition of freedom. And the way you do that is by saying no. That is absolutely right. You say no to tyranny. You say no to people who are doing wrongdoings. And maybe you even have to say no to yourself, and say, I was wrong. I was wrong. I got to check myself, for supporting this kind of system, for supporting these erroneous dogmatic axioms, these ideas that are promoting this kind of discord in the world and this kind of, freaking dystopia. That's really what it is a dystopia. Yeah, lead by example. That's right, lead by example. I think you guys have been great. You guys are wonderful. I love what you're doing. Thank you so much for bringing me on. Nathan, it's so cool that you're doing this work, and I hope you keep up your musical inspiration. And I think I've seen you online a few times. Do you have a Facebook or something?
You've maybe seen my name at like the Funnel conference and like comments.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, I know I've run across your name before.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think I've heard a couple people talking about you, and that's really awesome.
Oh.
And thank you so much for bringing me on as well, Geri.
So much appreciation, and I am just feeling grateful for this moment, this synchronous experience of having us talk like this, and just a passing of knowledge. We are the serpent, the rebirth, the shedding of the old, the building of the new, being lifted up. Like, thank you for being that eagle to us in this lodge.
I always tell people I'm not really a teacher. You taught yourself. I never wanted to be anybody's teacher or guru. I'm just like, hey, you can go that way. It's up to you to go that way, though. So give yourself some credit, boost your own self, and be like, yeah, I did a lot of work to be the person I am today. And that's something I've always put out there for individual. And I think my dog thinks that too. Oh, yeah, I know.
Aww.
Yeah, I'll just let her out real quick.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna say you can take care of your dogs, but Nathan, thank you so much. Did you want to share any closing sort of ideas or statements, Nathan?
Just want to say thank you, Brandon, for joining us and for your kind words also about my music. That means a lot to me. I'll remember that you said that. So thank you, man. And I guess that's all from me. My headache is kind of ramping up right now, but yeah, maybe we can do this again though sometime. And I really, really want to thank you. It was awesome to talk with you. I'm glad. I was thinking of not coming on because I feel bad, but I'm glad I did. So thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, of course, no problem. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm gonna miss Derek, unfortunately.
I know.
It's okay. I think me and Derek, he had messaged me not too long ago about doing another project on the Matrix, so I may take him up on that in the future, so I can get to talk to him then. But
sweet.
keep doing it. Keep doing what you're doing. We need more of this. So thank you. My heart and soul goes to you guys. This is true agape. This is universal love. And that's what we need. We need more true care in the universe. And you guys demonstrate that you have true care.
I feel like we're just like two prongs of truth care being like, yo, you inspired me. And then you're like, yo, you inspire me. And we're just like having this like, anyway.
That's how it should be.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Cool, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Brandon. Bye, Geri.